The 13th Ray. The light-scattering, highly valuable letters Üstad Bediüzzaman Said Nursi sent his students while in Denizli prison, which illustrate in brilliant fashion the great exertions of the Risale-i Nur. In his name be he glorified. My dear, loyal brothers, I congratulate you with all my being on the night of power which has passed and the coming festival, and I entrust you to the unity and mercy of the most merciful of the merciful. Although, in accordance with the meaning of, he who believes in divine determining is saved from unhappiness, I do not consider you to be in need of consolation. I say that I received from the elusive meaning of the verse. Now, await in patience the command of your sustainer, for verily you are in our eyes, and glorify with praise your sustainer. All the solace the verse affords. It was like this. While thinking of passing Ramadan tranquilly, in forgetfulness of the world, this unimaginable and completely unendurable episode befell us, yet I observed that it was pure grace both for me and for the Risale-i Nur, and for you, and our Ramadan, and our brotherhood. I shall describe only 2 or 3 of its many benefits for myself. One of them, the intense excitement, seriousness, entreating, and seeking refuge with God I experienced overcame a serious illness and made me work in Ramadan. The second, I had a powerful desire to see all of you this year and be near you. I would have agreed to the difficulties I have suffered to see only one of you and to come to Sparta. The third, in an extraordinary way, all the painful circumstances both in Kastamonu and on the way here and here suddenly change, and contrary to what I hoped and desired, a hand of grace is apparent, making one exclaim, "Good is in what God chooses." What made me realize this most was that the most heedless and high-ranking persons are being made to read the Risale-i Nur with careful attention, opening up new fields for its triumphs. I was suffering all the pains and regrets of everyone else as well as my own, but then since this calamity increased the 100 merits of each hour's worship to 1,000, for the blessed month of Ramadan makes each hour the equivalent of 100 hours, my pity and sorrow for sincere people like you who have learned truly the lessons of the Risale-i Nur. So know that this is a fleeting place of trade, who sacrifice everything for their belief and lives in the hereafter, and believe that the transcendent hardships of the school of Joseph will produce everlasting pleasures and benefits. My pity and sorrow for you were transformed into congratulations and appreciation and applause at your steadfastness. I declared, all praise and thanks be to God for all circumstances other than unbelief and misguidance. I am of the opinion that, in this respect, there are such benefits both for myself and for our brotherhood, and for the Risale-i Nur, and for our Ramadans, and for you, that if the veil were to be drawn back, it would make us declare, thanks be to you, O God. This divine decree and determining are an instance of your grace for us. Do not blame those who were the cause of this affair. The far-reaching and fearful plans for this calamity had long since been laid, and in the events we have gone off lightly. God willing, it will pass quickly. In accordance with the meaning of the verse, it may be that you hate a thing and it is good for you. Do not be grieved. Said Nursi. My dear brothers, I am very happy to be close to you. From time to time, I converse with you in imagination and am consoled. Know that if it had been possible, I would proudly and happily have endured all your difficulties. Because of you, I love Sparta and its environs down to its very stones and soil. I declare even, and I shall say so officially, if the Sparta authorities were to inflict some penalty on me and another province was to acquit me, I would still choose here. Yes, I am from Sparta in 3 respects. I cannot prove it genealogically, but I have the conviction that the forebears of Said, who came into the world in the sub-district of Isparit, went there from here. And the province of Sparta has given me such 3 brothers that I would be happy to sacrifice not Abdul Majid and Abdul Rahman, but Said, myself, for each one of them. It is my guess that there is no one on the earth at this time who suffers less in their hearts, spirits, and minds than the Risale-i Nur students. For due to the lights of certain affirmative belief, their hearts, spirits, and minds suffer no distress. As for physical hardships, they know from the teachings of the Risale-i Nur that they are both transitory and unimportant and yield rewards and are a means by which the service of belief unfolds in other channels, and so meet them with thanks and patience. They prove through their states of mind that certain affirmative belief leads to happiness in this world too. Yes, they say, let's see what God does. Whatever He does, it is good, and steadfastly work to transform these transcendent difficulties into permanent instances of mercy. May the most merciful of the merciful increase the numbers of those like them, make them the cause of pride and happiness for this country, and grant them eternal happiness in paradise. Amin. Said Nursi. My dear loyal brothers, in regard to these divinely ordained events from the point of view of the justice of divine determining, because some of the new students sought worldly things by means of the Risale-i Nur, which were not in keeping with the true meaning of sincerity, they found themselves confronted by self-seeking rivals, and obtaining from somewhere a long way off from me the 5th ray, the original of which was written 25 years ago, and in the past 8 years copies of which have only twice come into my possession and were then mislaid. A number of jealous people like that corrupt Hoja aroused the suspicions of the judiciary with it. At the same time, the supreme sign, Ayatul Kubra, was printed without my agreement instead of the key to belief, which I wanted printed in the new letters. On the arrival of copies of it, it was reported to the government, and the 2 matters were confused. Suggesting the 5th ray had been printed in opposition to the civil code, some malicious people made a mountain out of a molehill and had us put away in this place of penitence. Nevertheless, divine determining drew us here for our own good. It called us again to the school of Joseph, where, being far more meritorious than the places of ordeal of former times, we could receive a true lesson in sincerity and rectify our attachment to the affairs of this world, which in truth are valueless. We say in the face of the unfounded suspicions of the worldly, from beginning to end, the 7th ray, the supreme sign, is about belief. You have been deceived. It is completely different to the 5th ray, which has been held strictly private and was not found in my possession in any of the scrupulous searches and was originally written 20 years ago. We did not agree to show it to anyone at the present time, let alone have it printed. It nevertheless is a verified prediction and does not contest anything. In His name be He glorified. I again congratulate you on the festival. Do not be sorry that we could not meet in person. In truth, we are always together, and God willing, this togetherness will continue on the road to eternity. It is my opinion that the eternal merits and the virtues and joys of the spirit and heart that you obtain in serving belief reduce to nothing the present temporary, passing sorrows and hardships. Up to now, there has been no one who has suffered as few difficulties as the Risale-i Nur students in such sacred service. Yes, paradise is not cheap. To save others from absolute disbelief, which destroys the life of both this world and the hereafter, is of the very greatest importance at this time. If there is a little hardship, it should be met with enthusiasm, thanks, and patience. Since our Creator who employs us is all compassionate and wise, we should rely on His mercy and wisdom and meet everything with resignation and joy. An heroic brother of ours has assumed all responsibility for the supreme sign affair. He has shown how much he deserves the extraordinary honor and merit pertaining to the hereafter he has gained through his pen and the Hizbul Qur'an and Hizbul Nuri, and made me weep at the deep joy I felt. There is much wisdom in the supreme sign, the seventh ray, attracting attention to itself and preparing the ground for the future triumphs it deserves. Its temporary confiscation will not nullify the work and expenses of that brother and his wife. God willing, it will make them shine even more. This we await from divine mercy. From your brother who, through the use of the first person plural in all his supplications, such as deliver us, have mercy on us, preserve us, includes all of you in them without exception, who works in accordance with the principle of our partnership of the Spirit, as though we were numerous bodies and a single Spirit, and is more concerned with your distress than you are yourselves, and who, from your collective personality, awaits strength, assistance, constancy, steadfastness, and intercession. Said Nursi. At a time when, under the effects of this event, I determined to completely resign myself to sacrificing myself for my innocent brothers and was seeking for a solution, I read Risale-i. It suddenly occurred to me that Imam Ali, may God be pleased with him, prayed, O God, deliver us. God willing, you shall be delivered through the meaning of his supplication. Yes, in his Qasidatul Risale-i, Imam Ali, may God be pleased with him, gave news of the Risale-i Nur in two ways and alluded to the supreme sign with the lines, and through the supreme sign, secure me from sudden disaster. With this allusion, he is indicating that, due to the supreme sign, a disaster of significant proportions will be visited on the Risale-i Nur students, and is beseeching God to deliver the students from the calamity for the sake of the supreme sign. He is making the treatise and its source an intercessor. Yes, the printing of the supreme sign was made the pretext for the calamity that occurred and confirmed exactly that sign of the unseen. Also, on the opposite page in the Qasida, it says at the end of the allusions to the important parts of the Risale-i Nur and their arrangements in meaning, these letters of light gather together their properties and study their meanings, for through them good is fulfilled. That is, the words and letters of the Risale-i Nur, which we alluded to, collect their properties and study their meanings, for all good and happiness is achieved through them. It may be inferred from the phrase, study the meanings of the letters, that it refers not to the letters which express no meaning, but to the treatises called Sözler, which means the words. Our sustainer do not call us to task if we forget or do wrong. None knows the unseen save God. Said Nursi. My dear, loyal brother Rafat Bey, I cannot meet with indifference your learned questions, since they are the keys to important truths contained in the part of the Risale-i Nur called Mektubat, letters. A short answer is as follows. Since the Qur'an is a pre-eternal address and speaks with all the classes of humanity and all the groups of worshippers, it has to possess numerous meanings conformable with them and numerous levels of the universal meanings. Some commentators choose only the most general or the most explicit meaning, or one which expresses an obligatory act or a confirmed practice of the Prophet, upon whom be blessings and peace. For example, for the verse, and in the night glorify God, they mention an important sunnah, the 2 rak'ahs of the tahajjud prayer, and for the verse, the flight of the stars, the early morning fajr sunnah, which is a confirmed practice of the Prophet, upon whom be blessings and peace. And there are numerous other constituents of the former meaning. My brother, speaking with you does not cease. My dear, loyal brothers, I have just performed the noon prayer, and it occurred to me when I was reciting the tasbihat that you were all probably sad at thinking of yourselves and your relations at home. It suddenly came to mind that if the people of former times who chose the hereafter over this world and passed their lives mortifying the flesh in caves and other places of ordeal with the intention of being saved from the sins of society and of working sincerely for the hereafter had lived now, they would have been Risale-i Nur students. Certainly, those living under present conditions are 10 times more needy than they were and gain 10 times more merit and are 10 times more comfortable. My dear, blessed brothers, very many greetings. In former times, in my native region, we used to recite Surah Al-Ikhlas 1,000 times on the day of Arafah. Now, I am able to recite 500 on the day before and 500 on the day of Arafah. Those who are confident may recite them all at once. I cannot see you and cannot speak with you all personally, but most of the time I can converse with you all while praying, sometimes by name. My dear, loyal brothers, I reckon that up to now 2 leaders of the main group of the Light Factory Circle have been saved. That circle, that group, has truly accomplished the triumphs of 20 to 30 years in 6 or 7, as though it was a souvenir of their shining past. Their service does not cease. It causes merits to be recorded in the books of their deeds in their places. In fact, the Hizb-i Nuri has achieved such overwhelming conquests and entered such important places that it is as if those who published it are continuously working. I suppose that, like the first person, Hafiz Mustafa, who has worked so hard and is so hardworking, was outside, then I heard that he is here too. Thinking it was perhaps another Mustafa, I found consolation. My dear brothers, this morning, while reciting the tasbihat, I pitied Hafiz Tawfiq. I recalled that it is the second time he has suffered this trouble. Then it suddenly occurred to me, congratulate him. With needless caution, he wanted to withdraw himself a little from his important position and his large share in the Risale-i Nur. But the vastness and sacredness of his service again awarded him a large share and vast merit. One should not flee from spiritual honor such as that due to a little distress and fleeting hardship. Yes, my brothers, everything departs, and after it has gone, if it was pleasure and enjoyment, it goes for nothing, while if it was distress and hardship, it yields such pleasurable benefits both in this world and in the hereafter, and from the point of view of being sacred service, that it reduces the trouble to nothing. With the exception of one of you, I am the most elderly, and it is I who suffers the most troubles. Yet, I assure you that by practicing total patience, offering thanks, and endurance, I am happy at my situation. Thanks in the face of disaster is for the reward to be had from disaster and for the benefits in this world and the next. My dear brothers, with the disappearance of the things preventing the completion of the topics of the fruits of belief, writing will recommence, God willing. One of these was the cold, the other was the fright the Masons took at its power. I think of this calamity from the angle of divine determining, and my difficulties are transformed into mercy. Yes, as is explained in the treatise on divine determining, there are 2 causes for every event. One is apparent, people base their judgments on this and frequently act unjustly. The other is reality, according to which divine determining judges, it acts with justice in the events in which men acted unjustly. For example, a man is sent to prison for a theft he did not commit. Divine determining also sentences him to imprisonment, but for a secret crime, and acts justly within the human injustice. Thus, there are two causes for our having been set this severe trial, the purpose of which is to separate out the diamonds from the pieces of glass, the veracious devotees from the inconstant waverers, and the purely sincere from those unable to give up their egotism and self-interest. The first is a powerful solidarity and a sincere and remarkable service of religion which arouse the suspicions of the worldly and the politicians. Human injustice looks to this. The second, since not everyone on their own could demonstrate their worthiness of this sacred service through complete sincerity and total solidarity, divine determining looked to this too. But that determining is now pure mercy for us within the pure justice, for it brought together brothers who greatly missed each other and transformed their hardships into worship and their losses into almsgiving. It is also pure mercy in many other respects, like attracting attention from all quarters to the treatises the brothers have written out, and not allowing worldly possessions and children and comforts which are temporary, fleeting, and which one day they will be bound to leave behind when they enter the grave, to damage their lives in the hereafter, and making them accustomed to patient endurance, and their being heroic models for the believers of the future and even their leaders. But there is one aspect that caused me some thought, which is that if a finger is wounded, the eye, mind, and heart neglect their important duties and become preoccupied with it. Similarly, our lives, which reach this pitch of distress, busy our hearts and spirits with their wants. Then, just when I should be forgetting the world, the situation took me to the Mason's council and busied me with dealing them blows. I was consoled by the possibility that Almighty God might accept this state of heedlessness as a sort of intellectual striving. I received the greetings of Ali Gül, the brother of Hafiz Mehmet, the Risale-i Nur's esteemed teacher. I sent greetings and prayers both to him and to all his fellow villagers and to all the people of Sava, both living and dead. In his name be he glorified. My dear loyal brothers, your constancy and steadfastness foil all the plans of the Masons and dissemblers. Yes, my brothers, there is no need to hide it. Those atheists draw comparisons between the Risale-i Nur and its students and the Sufi orders, and particularly the Naqshbandi order, and with the idea of refuting us and scattering us, attack us with the schemes with which they defeated the Sufis. Firstly, to intimidate and scare and show up the abuses of the Sufi way. And secondly, to publicize the faults of its leaders and followers. And thirdly, to corrupt them with the enticing vices and stupefying, pleasurable poisons of materialist philosophy and civilization, and destroy their solidarity and disparage their leaders with treacherous lies, and discredit their ways with some of the principles of science and philosophy. They attacked us with the same weapons they used against the Naqshbandi and Sufis, but they were deceived. For since the essence of the Risale-i Nur's way is complete sincerity and the giving up of egotism, and to search out and pursue the mercy within difficulties and the permanent pleasures within pains, and to point out the grievous pains within fleeting dissolute pleasures, and that belief is the means to innumerable pleasures in this world too, and to teach the points and truths that the hand of no philosophy can reach. God willing, it will make all their plans come to nothing, and showing that no comparison can be made between the way of the Risale-i Nur and the Sufi orders, it will silence them utterly. A subtle point. This morning, someone called me from the gendarme's ward next to me, and I went to the window. He said, "Our door has closed by itself, and whatever we do, we can't open it." So I told him, "It's a sign for you that among the people you guard, and keep behind bars are those who are innocent like yourselves. They even insulted me on the pretext of my seeing one of my brothers I had not seen for 10 years, and on another pretext closed the second of our outer doors. As a punishment, your door closed too. Said Nursi. My dear, loyal brothers, there are 3 further points concerning the subtle point I wrote to you yesterday. The first, as a representative of the collective personality of a blessed group that will be formed in the future through the blessings of that collective personality, the bolted door opens of its own accord. Again, they were angry with a representative of a blessed group which is now in existence meeting with me for half a minute after 10 years. I too was angered and again said, "Let the doors close." The following morning, it had never happened before, the guards' doors closed and did not open for 2 hours. Second elegant point. I sent a note to the public prosecutor by means of the prison governor. I said in it, I am being kept in isolation and I can't meet with anyone. Even if I was to, I do not know anyone in this town. With someone from the town council here, and so on. Later, the prosecutor asked if I was in solitary confinement. The prison governor said, no. Both of them objected to my note. The same day, a distant and half-crazy relation came and visited me for half a minute, and it was portrayed in such a way as to show that I had never been in solitary confinement. Their objections rebounded on themselves. The third, the noise of the troublesome youths next door to me between the evening and night prayers disturbed me, but not too much. It was that day that they found an excuse and shut the door. The foul stench also grew worse in my cell, and the din the youths made by my door disturbed me excessively. I again said, let the doors close. Why are they doing this? That morning, the incident occurred. My brothers, the 2 topics you have written in the new letters have had a tremendous effect. It will be excellent in the first, second, and third topics are written out as well. But I find it worrying if it is Husrev and Tahiri who are writing them out, since their pens are particularly suited to the Qur'an and the Qur'anic script and are charged with it. It will be better if others write them. My dear brothers, for the past year I have been using an amount that is around 1 kilo of vermicelli and rice. I have no doubt that they are a means of plenty. But now you do not allow me to cook them, so I give them to you as a gift, as a means to blessings and plenty. On one occasion, I saw a wondrous increase in the star-shaped vermicelli. I used to dry the pieces after cooking them. I myself and others saw that one single piece was 10 times larger than normal. My dear brothers, last night, while I was reciting my invocations, the guards and others could hear me. I wondered anxiously to myself if such a display did not decrease the merit. Then I remembered a famous saying of Hujjatul Islam Imam Ghazali, sometimes doing something openly is better than concealing it. That is, in many ways it may be far more meritorious to do something openly, for others may benefit from it, or copy it, or be aroused from heedlessness, or it may be displayed the marks of Islam in the face of those who persist in misguidance or vice and preserve the dignity of religion. Especially at this time, and if done by those who have learned truly the lessons of sincerity and no hidden artificiality in advance. I thought of this and was consoled.